Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brittany. This is the Brittany Reacts Show. And on this show we talk all things movies. We have a lot to go over today. We're going to cover all the news from this past week, but we're also going to do a bit of a preview at the very end to talk about all the stuff that Disney's going to reveal, hopefully, at D23 this weekend. If you don't know what D23 is, it's a major convention that happens every 2 years where Disney focuses only Disney projects, and they basically hold their own Comic-Con, and they give a lot of updates on their future projects and movies and stuff like that. And that's happening this weekend, and they're supposed to be announcing a lot, so that's why on Sunday we are actually going to have a live stream that's going to be all about covering whatever it is they reveal this weekend. So make sure you're there on Sunday. We also have a lot of box office stuff to talk about today, not just with Deadpool, but some other movies that didn't do so well this weekend. So we have a lot of good stuff to talk about today. How are you guys doing? Hi Josh, hi Alexander, hi Drawing Art, hi Vincent, hi Astronomy, hi Francisco, hi Donataz, hi Raylin, hi Ajamen, hi Mythical Phoenix Heart, hi HP. Thank you to each and every one of you who is here. I genuinely appreciate it. I love that you guys are always just here and support me and watch the show, because without you guys I would have no one to talk to and this would be a very dry show. So thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. Oh, DeBoy, you finally were able to make it. Hi Nicholas, hi Negrette, hi Jordan. Thank you thank you everyone for being here. If you hear the AC in the background and it is too loud, please let me know in the chat. I will turn it off. I was just going to try testing to see if maybe I can keep it on during the show, but if it really is too distracting, please let me know and I will turn it off. Alright, so let's get into the first topic, which is all box office. Like I said, we have a lot of box office to go over. Oh, Alexander Padilla, thank you so much for the super chat. We are going to talk about that later on in the entertainment news portion, so hang tight. We are going to discuss that later on. But thank you for the super chat. Alright, so the first thing I want to talk about is the fact that Deadpool and Wolverine, I mean, I'll admit it, you guys know I was very harsh on this movie in that I just really did not see it making $1 billion. I didn't see it flopping, but I didn't see it making $1 billion just because I thought just the overall interest in the MCU and the superheroes was like so down that I didn't think that this movie would be able to appeal to anyone outside of the core audience, but I was very wrong. Because a lot of people saw this movie, and not only is it crossing 900 million worldwide tonight, but it's actually projected to open between, or finish between 1.3 to 1.4 billion dollars, which would make it the second highest grossing movie of the year after Inside Out 2, which is crazy on its own. Can we just talk about that for a second? That Inside Out 2, I should say, is now the 10th highest grossing movie of all time. And it's going to make more money than Deadpool and Wolverine. I mean, I love that movie. You guys know I love that movie. Watch my review if you want to know what I think. But man, did I not see it doing like so well it would end up in the top 10 highest grossing movies ever and beating Deadpool and Wolverine. Well, okay, I did see it beating Deadpool and Wolverine. Once we are at finally at the end of summer, which is probably going to be like in a week or two, I'm going to do a stream where I go over and compare my predictions from the beginning of the summer compared to how everything turned out. If you guys remember, I did a whole live stream where I went over my predictions for the summer and like how the movies would perform. So I'm going to do another live stream where I'm going to talk about was I right, was I wrong? And I was very wrong about Deadpool. I did not think it would reach $1 billion. But I did predict that Inside Out 2 would make more than Deadpool, so I was at least right there. But yeah, I was obviously very wrong. It's a huge success. Are you guys surprised by this? Or do you think this is as expected? Or did you think it would make more? Josh says Deadpool and Wolverine will cross $1 billion this week. Yes, it's any day now. Pretty much tonight, I think. John Burns says the year ain't over yet. Do you guys think there will be a movie that can beat Inside Out 2, though? I really don't think there's another movie on the horizon that can make more than $1.5 billion. I think Inside Out 2 is safely the highest grossing movie of the year. If there's another movie that can beat it, that would be very surprising. Rodney Dollar says, it gets more interesting that Jamie Lee Curtis and Cate Blanchett filmed Borderlands the same time they got their Oscar nominations. We're going to talk about Borderlands in a minute, but let's focus on Deadpool right now. Freeland says, good for Deadpool. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people really liked it, though. This movie has a lot of fans, so I'm happy for everyone who just absolutely loved this movie. I liked it, I didn't love it, but I can respect the people that do love it. Oh, Josh, you think Moana 2 could do better than Inside Out 2? That's a big if, though. I'm not sure, and here's why. I like what you're thinking, though. Only because the first Moana actually only did okay at the box office. It actually found a bigger audience once it went on streaming. So I don't know if it'll reach Inside Out 2 level heights, just because the first one wasn't as big as the first Inside Out movie. But I do know that the movie does very well on Disney Plus streaming wise. So I'm wondering if maybe it's just grown so much since then, like it's become like almost a cult following in a way, that maybe it is bigger than Inside Out now, but the first movie definitely wasn't. So that's why I'm still not sure Moana 2 will be Inside Out 2, but I do think it'll be successful. Astronomy says Wicked. I wish. We're going to talk about Wicked as well. They just released another trailer. But yeah, I don't see Wicked taking it, unfortunately. As much as I would love that to happen, I'm just not feeling the hype. Okay, so no one seems to be that surprised by Deadpool and Wolverine, though. Yeah, I mean, if you love the movie, good for you. I mean, it's doing very well. And I think I think I could spoil this joke. I hope you guys don't mind about the spoil a joke from the movie. But I think Hugh Jackman really will be doing this until he's 90. Because Marvel is never letting him go. Him and Ryan Reynolds. I think both of them are going to be doing these characters until they're 90 years old. They're never going to stop. They're never going to be able to hang up the suit. They're always going to be these characters forever. I honestly don't... I'm not against that, to be honest. Even though I did want a new cast for X-Men, I liked Hugh so much in this movie. I'm kind of coming around to him sticking around, even though I did want a new cast. He's just so great, I can't not, hate that he might stick around, Alexander, we'll talk about that when we get to the Wicked part. But let's get on to Borderlands. Oh wait, before we get on to Borderlands, I do want to point out that Disney is actually having a really good year so far. Compared to last year, if you guys remember, we talked a lot about the box office last year, and how Disney was doing poorly. One of the worst years ever for... as far as box office wise and studio wise, they had a terrible year last year. So far this year is actually kind of good for them. I mean, they've already had 2 big hits. They've had Inside Out 2, they've had Deadpool. They've made $3 billion globally. So yeah. Oh wow, hold on. I just reread this. I didn't even realize this. So the studio only made $4.82 billion in all of 2023. However, they've already made $3 billion globally, and we're only about a little over halfway through the year. That's really impressive. I mean, sort of impressive. I think that's more just pointing out how badly they did last year. But yeah, that just shows you that maybe Disney definitely had, a down moment. I still think they're down overall, but I don't think they're out forever. I don't think that Disney is going to just disappear and no one's ever going to care about Disney again. Disney goes in cycles. They've always had times where they weren't as popular, and last year it really seemed oh, Disney's definitely going through that time where they're not as popular anymore. But I think they're already making a bit of a comeback, just a little bit. They still have Alien, which I don't think that'll do super well, but I could be surprised, I don't know. Moana 2, which I do think will do well, and Mufasa, which I'm absolutely rooting against. So, at least out of the movies they have left for this year, I think they have at least one more solid hit coming up, and that's Moana 2. I don't know about Alien and Mufasa, but at least they do have another hit. So, I mean, they're doing okay this year. They're doing okay. Rhea Lynn says Disney parks are not doing well. Yeah, that's really sad, though. Really, really sad. I've been seeing a lot of pictures, because you guys know I used to work at the parks. So I'm used to them being like very, very busy, especially during the summer. So to see all those pictures of the parks like practically empty, it seems, is very, very sad to me. I hope the parks turn around, but I actually don't think that the issue with the parks has anything to do with like the perception of Disney as a whole. I think they've been making a lot of changes to the parks specifically that have hurt the experience. As someone who has been to the parks a lot, I can tell you they've already made a number of changes that make me unhappy, like with the lightning lane passes versus fast passes and how they're charging for everything now, how they're making everything like bland looking and getting rid of theming. As someone who likes going to the parks, they're making a lot of changes to make me even not want to go as much. So yeah, I really think they need to like get someone in. I think honestly what they need to do, they need to get Bob Iger out. I think he's been there too long. And they need to get a Michael Eisner type who is willing to wear a Mickey tie and really, really loves the parks and knows them inside and out, like as much as a Disney adult would. And like knows what the parks need because they know what fans like. That's what they need. Bob Iger's not that person. I don't even think Josh Tomorrow, who is in charge of the parks right now, is that person. As much as he may seem that way on the surface, I don't think he actually is. Yeah, they need a Disney fan. I think they need a Disney fan to run the company because I think that's the only way they're going to change the parks and turn them around. But that's a whole other conversation that we just kind of went on a tangent for. I know, Rodney, I miss Fast Pass too. Like, what are they doing? I'm actually going to Disney World for the first time in like 2 years this Christmas. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm really curious to see how busy it's going to be this Christmas because usually it's very busy during Christmas. But I'm wondering if maybe this year it'll be not as busy. I don't know. Who knows? But this will be the first time I'll be using lightning lane passes instead of fast passes. I'm not looking forward to having to learn this system. I'm not looking forward to that at all. But whatever. I'll let you guys know about my updates there. In fact, this is a whole side thing. I know we've gone on a tangent about Disney parks, but I was actually thinking of maybe like filming a mini vlog when I go this Christmas. I don't know if any of you guys would be interested in that. If you guys want to see my adventures around the park or something, let me know in the chat if you would actually watch that or not. I don't know. But yeah, anyway, again, we got very distracted. Or at least I got distracted. Du Bois says, I honestly don't know about all 3 of those films. Not sure Alien has huge appeal. I agree. What I know about Moana 2's behind the scenes stuff is making me nervous. Yeah, and Mufasa is Mufasa. Yeah, we have the exact same opinion on all 3 of those movies. I totally agree. Anyway, let's move on to Borderlands. Oh, John agrees. Bob Iger hasn't been in Disney for that long, but if you piss off Ron Perlman, you gots to go. But Bob Iger has been in Disney for a long time, actually. He's been at the company. Well, he's been CEO at the company since 2005. So the dude has been ruling the company, I think, for too long. I think we really need new blood at this point. Okay, seeing some yes and some sure's. All right. I'll think about it. We'll see. Moving on. Now let's talk about Borderlands. So Borderlands is on track to open 15 million at its domestic box office weekend. And the film has a budget, y'all, of 110 to 120 million. So this is a massive flop. There's no like, oh, let's wait for the second weekend. Or, oh, we don't know what it's going to do. No, this is a massive flop from the get-go. This is pretty much dead on arrival. Doesn't help that the reviews are terrible. The reviews are so bad. They debuted with 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now it's not 0 anymore. It's 3% now. I just checked because Grace Randolph is apparently the only critic that actually liked it. So I don't know. I haven't seen the movie yet. I wasn't sure if I was planning to see the movie yet. But honestly, these reviews are not encouraging me to actually wanting to go see it. Do you guys want me to see it to actually review it? Is this something you want to see a review of it for me? Like, do you care about this film at all? Honestly, this is such a bad opening, and with these terrible reviews, there's no chance that this is going to make any money. And again, just teasing for the next live stream or whatever when we talk about like how well the movies this summer did. My prediction for this movie at the beginning of the summer was to actually be a surprise breakout hit. If you guys remember from that list, I predicted this movie would make something like $500 million. This is not making $500 million, let's just say that. So, yeah, I was very, very wrong about this movie. Like, very wrong. Symbala says, man, 3% is impressive. Last time a movie had a 0% was Megamind versus the Doom Syndicate, and we all know that movie is utter garbage. Yeah, 0% are actually quite rare. To get to debut at 0%, the movie has to be like especially bad. I'm very curious to see what the cinema score is. Maybe this is the type of film that audiences really like or something, or maybe this is like such a terrible movie it's gonna get like a D cinema score. I don't know. I'm very, very curious to see what the cinema score is though. Alexander says, save my money. Okay. Amy says, I was planning to see Borderlands, but so many other good movies came out. What other good movies, though? I kind of feel like other than Deadpool, there's not like a ton in theaters right now. Vincent says, Madam Web is no longer the worst movie of 2024. Was Madam Web this year? Oh my god, this year has been forever. Why did I think that was last year? Holy crap. HP says, I was surprised there was no trailer for Borderlands before Deadpool. Seems like a similar audience. Yeah, I mean, maybe the studio knew this movie was bad and that's why they weren't really heavily promoting it. Because honestly, I don't think they've been doing a lot of promotion for this film either. Maybe they just knew that it was really, really bad. I cannot believe Madam Web was this year. That actually breaks my brain a bit. Anyway, moving on. So, another movie that also flopped horribly, like really, really embarrassingly. Harold and the Purple Crayon, which I thought looked terrible. If you ever saw the trailer for this movie, it looked like a joke film. Like, it looked like the kind of parody movie you would see a trailer for on SNL. Like, not a real film, but like a joke of a film. But no, it's real. But apparently a lot of people agreed with me that it looked very bad. Because it only opened with $6 million domestic on a $40 million budget. $40 million isn't even a lot of money for, you know, movies these days, and it's not even going to come close to that amount. I mean, it opened to $9 million globally. $9 million globally. Y'all, that is embarrassing. That is like no one saw this movie. No one cared about it. No one wanted to see it. I do not think Zachary Levi has a career as a movie star. I just don't think it's gonna happen. Yeah, this is like not just a rejection of the movie, but this has to be like a rejection of him too. You know, like I think after Shazam 2 blew up and he kind of embarrassed himself, I think he might have turned off a lot of people. Because this is like really bad. Yes, exactly. Rodney brought it up. He's good as Flynn Rider. He should just be a voice actor. He should be a voice actor. Maybe, I don't know, do some more like Tangled stuff. Tangled actually had a TV show. I don't know if you guys ever watched it. I did. I really liked the TV show. And he voiced Flynn Rider in the TV show. And he was really good in that. Like, he's a good voice actor. I think he should stick to voice acting. I think that's where his strengths are, to be honest. Mythical Phoenix Heart says, oops, I forgot about Harold and the Purple Crayon. I only the Wild Robot in mind. Yes, we're going to talk about the Wild Robot as well. Real Lynn says, I have not seen any advertisement or promotion for Harold and the Purple Crayon, so I think that's part of the problem. Yeah, seeing a lot of people saying you just never heard of it. Yeah, this is another film they just did not advertise. I saw a few trailers for it in theaters, like before other movies that I saw. That's the only reason I even knew that this movie existed, because I saw no other promotion for it otherwise. Anyway, moving on. So, Despicable Me 4. This is another one that this is actually something that I think I'm spot on with in my predictions from earlier in the summer. I predicted that Despicable Me 4 would not reach $1 billion, and that it would actually be one of the lower grossing films of the franchise, because I feel like the franchise is starting to run out of steam. And I was right. I mean, it's still doing well. 750 is, it's profitable. But it's not going to reach $1 billion or close to it like the previous movies have. I really do think maybe they've stretched the Minions joke a little too far. I think they jumped the shark with the Minions in this movie. Again, I saw this movie, unfortunately. Again, I didn't want to see it, but I had to. I like some of the earlier movies. I like the Minions, or at least I used to. But I thought they were so obnoxious and annoying in this movie, I just could not get into it. So I'm not surprised this is going to be a sort of a lower grosser movie of the franchise. John Burns, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Zachary Levi is a good actor, but why shell out $100 million for a movie in the theaters? 180 plus Fs without the kids? Yes, glorified animation, stay home. Yeah, this had really... I don't think this ever had a chance at being a hit even without Zachary Levi, just because these kind of kid-focused movies aren't really doing well, like at all. Like, I think what's happening right now in society in general is that little kids really want to do what the big kids are doing, and there's like no media at all that's really like aimed towards the middle grade age, like the tween age. Like, anything that's aimed towards that audience is flopping, because as soon as you become like a tween now, it's like, oh, you're doing everything like 18-year-olds are doing, which is crazy. That's a whole other separate topic, but yeah. I do think it's part of the fact that it's just a kid's movie. That's why it didn't do well, unfortunately. Thank you for the super chat. Moving on. So Twisters, another movie I'm a little surprised by. Actually, a lot surprised by. In my live stream where I predicted how well the movies would do, I thought Twisters would do a lot better. I thought it would do a lot better. I mean, it's slowing down so much. It's probably going to barely break even, which is not what I expected. I thought this would be like a surprise breakout hit. I thought this would do like well over 500 million. I thought this would cement what's his name? Glenn Powell. I thought this would cement Glenn Powell as like the next big major superstar, and it's only doing okay. It's only doing okay. I'm really surprised by that, actually. But then after seeing the movie, I'm not surprised, because I think they should have leaned more into the disaster aspect of it instead of the rom-com aspect of it. I went to the movie hoping to see some good tornado action. I wanted to see buildings get blown apart in slow motion, you know? You guys know I love disaster films. I don't think I've seen a single disaster film other than Moonfall that I didn't like. I love disaster movies. They're a guilty pleasure of mine. And I was hoping this would be more of that, and it wasn't. In fact, they kind of almost made the tornadoes not that scary. Like, okay, now I'm getting sort of into my mini review of the film. But I did not like how a large part of the movie, and this is a minor spoiler, is like them literally trying to be in the eye of the storm, and like literally just being in their car as the tornado passes through. I thought that took the stakes way down and made the tornadoes like not scary at all. Because if you can just be in like a Ford F-150 and all you need is like some nails to nail the truck into the ground and you can survive an entire tornado, why should I be afraid of this tornado? Like, I don't know. I had problems with this movie. I didn't love it. So maybe a lot of people didn't love it, and that's why it's not setting the box office on fire. I don't know. Did you guys see this movie, and what did you think of it? Yellow Umbrella, I did not see this in 4D, but now I'm kind of wishing I had. I bet that was a whole ride. Okay, fun fact. The first 4D movie I saw was for Black Widow, actually, the movie. And that was like a ride. I felt like I was at Disney and I was in a ride. The chair was just moving when it didn't need to move. It was crazy. The whole third act when like they're falling onto the ground from that sky station, my chair would not stop moving. It was like a ride. It wasn't a movie. I felt like I was at a ride. Anise says, Twister is a romantic comedy disaster thriller. While I agree that it could have done more with disaster action, it delivered on being a Twister sequel except for the missing kiss. Well, I'm glad you liked it. Negrette says, it's at least doing decent. Yeah, I would say decent. I would say that I wouldn't use any word stronger than decent, yeah. Okay, Brooklyn's loved it. Okay. HP says you liked it, but I do think it coming out 1 week before Deadpool hurt it. That could probably be it. I mean, Deadpool opens so huge, maybe people were just saving their money for Deadpool. That could totally be it. Moving on. So, M. Night Shyamalan's Trapped also actually kind of did a little better than at least I expected. It opened with $15.6 million domestically on a $35 million budget. So this is another movie that's probably going to at least break even. So good for M. Night Shyamalan, because I know he funds a lot of these movies like himself. I haven't seen this movie yet. In fact, I'm going to see it, I think, this weekend. So I'll let you guys know my thoughts. But yeah, M. Night's pretty hit and miss. He's pretty, I think, inconsistent. So I think this is actually pretty decent for him. Did anyone see Trapped? Did you like the movie? I am going to see Beetlejuice 2, Brooklyn. Oh, Angie, you know people who watched it in 4D and they liked it. Well, I'm glad. Josh says, Trap was such a fun concert experience. I watched it with the crowd. Okay, that makes me a little more excited to go see it then. I'm glad you liked it, Josh. Another movie that's doing decent, not bad, honestly. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes ended its theatrical run, earning $397 million globally on a $160 million budget. So yeah, it did decently. I think they probably wanted more because the previous Caesar movies did better, but it didn't embarrass itself. It did okay. It did decent. So I don't know if they're going to continue on with the exact same characters, but I think this did well enough that they're probably not going to abandon the Planet of the Apes franchise. I would suspect they're probably just going to like come back with new characters or a new director or something. I don't know. But they're definitely going to keep making more Planet of the Apes movies for sure. Speaking of Beetlejuice tracking is actually very, very good. It's tracking to earn between 75 to 84 million in its domestic opening weekend, which would be one of the best openings of 2024. I think this movie could actually do very well. I think this movie could do very well for the same reasons Wednesday did very well. And I'm not even talking about the fact that Jenna Ortega is in both. I'm just talking about the fact that both properties are very, very similar. Which is almost why I didn't want Jenna Ortega to be in this movie, because I just think it's too similar to Wednesday. But anyway, like the Addams Family, Beetlejuice is a cross-generational franchise now. I mean, you have people who really liked the franchise back in the 80s and 90s when the movies came out. And then you have a newer, younger generation who watched those movies on repeat because they played, when I was a kid, they played Beetlejuice a lot on replay on cable. So I think this is a franchise now that has like multiple generations that would be interested in it, just like with Wednesday in the Addams Family. And now you have the actual Wednesday herself in the movie, and you brought back Winona Ryder and oh my god, I keep wanting to say Michael Caine, and I know that's not his name. And they brought back Beetlejuice himself. You know what I'm talking about. I'm drawing a blank with names today. I think this actually has a lot of potential. A lot of potential. But what do you guys think? Do you think this will do well? Or are you interested in this movie at all? Or do you care? What do you think? Du Bois says, I'm tempted to be skeptical because it's a sequel to a movie that came out 30-ish years ago. But Tim Burton has said he wanted to make a sequel for years, so I think it could do well. That's the other thing that makes me a little nervous. I think Tim Burton hasn't made a good movie in like over 10 years. And I used to love Tim Burton. He used to be my favorite director. I used to see movies just because he directed them. I saw that god-awful, what was that movie with Johnny Depp? That doesn't narrow it down. The movie with, was it, oh man, what was it called? I was gonna say it also had Helena Bonham Carter, but that's like half of his movies. It came out after Sweeney Todd. I think this was like the early 2010s. Do you guys know what movie I'm talking about? Please let me know if you guys. Michael Keaton, thank you, Michael Keaton. I kept wanting to say Michael Caine. That's a different person. But yeah, do you guys know what I'm talking about? The Tim Burton movie. I saw that movie and it, oh my god, it was terrible. Literally one of the worst movies I think I've ever seen. It's got to be up there in the top 10. And Sweeney Todd is so freaking good. Sweeney Todd is in my one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time. So to go from like one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time to then one of my top 10 like worst movie experiences I've ever had. Dark Shadows. Thank you, HP. Dark Shadows. Oh god, and Alice in Wonderland. That was also bad. Yeah, he had like 2 really bad movies after Sweeney Todd, like in a row, and that was rough for me as a fan. That was really rough for me. Yeah, anyone see Dark Shadows? Look up the trailer for that and you'll understand just how bad it is. Anyway. I hope Tim Burton has gotten his sauce back. I hope he knows how to direct again. I hope this is more close to Sweeney Todd and like Big Fish and, you know, his older work rather than the stuff post Sweeney Todd, because the stuff post Sweeney Todd is really, really bad. Like, it's bad. But anyway, oh yeah, he also did Dumbo, which I didn't care for either. So I don't know. He hasn't made a good movie for me in a long time, like a really long time. So who knows? But moving on to the entertainment news. So, I did have one of you reached out to me on Twitter. I love when you guys like give me suggestions on stuff to talk about in the show. I do encourage it. I do encourage you guys to follow me on Twitter, but I also encourage you guys to like let me know of stuff, because I actually didn't even know about this story. So thank you. Okay, I know this is Dan on Twitter, but what is your name? Okay, Donatus, yes, thank you. I'm using your tweet here. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. So, Netflix just had one of its biggest security breaches in history. I think this might be one of the biggest security breaches in general for Hollywood. I mean, it's pretty bad. They had several animated shows and movies that were just completely leaked online, including season 2 of Arcane, which you guys know I love Arcane. Arcane's one of my favorite shows airing right now. I'm staying away from all spoilers. I'm not watching anything. But yeah, it really, really sucks for the creators of that show, because I know they worked really hard on it. It sucks for everyone, really. I mean, the Bikini Bottom movie, Fairly Odd Parents, something called Mononoke the movie. There's a lot here that leaked, and that's just really, really unfortunate. A lot of anime as well. I don't know what's going on with these leaks. I don't know why leaks are becoming like more and more common, because it's not just Netflix. Disney has to deal with a lot of leaks. Really almost every studio has to deal with the leak problem now, and I'm not sure what's going on and why it's becoming more common. Does anyone have any ideas why this is becoming more common? What's going on with the security in Hollywood right now? I feel like they all need to invest in better digital security, I'm not gonna lie, because this is happening like way too frequently. What do you guys think about this? Du Bois says, wait, so entire movies and whole shows were leaked? Yeah, entire movies and whole seasons were leaked. Like, a lot of them. In fact, I'm pretty sure if they ever find out who did this, they're definitely going to go to jail. Because I was just watching the Hot Ones episode of Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds, and Hugh Jackman said that the guy who leaked the Wolverine movie actually ended up going to jail for it. So that was just one movie. This is multiple movies and shows, so whoever leaked this stuff is definitely going to go to jail once they get discovered. So I do not envy that person at all. Negrette says social media has gotten better and worse. What do you mean? Jordan says, I just searched Dark Shadows up and it looks like a ripoff of Addams Family. It wishes it was Addams Family. It's not even half or like a quarter as good as that. Donataz says, this leak first started with anime shows that weren't going to come out in the fall, but it progressed to anime projects. If Netflix doesn't get this under control, they're going to lose hundreds of millions. Yeah, again, they need to invest in better cybersecurity. I don't know if it's because all this stuff is in the cloud and they're like hacking the cloud, but they gotta put a cap on this stuff. This is really not good, not just for Netflix, but for the industry. Again, the entire industry is dealing with this stuff, and I don't know why it's been happening more frequently. They really got to do better about this stuff. Oh no, Ajamin, you already saw the leaked footage? I'm trying to stay away from it. I do not want to be spoiled for Arcane. I don't want to know anything. But anyway, I'm glad that Donataz brought this up because this is an interesting story. I will keep you guys updated on what happens here. Also, we had a new Wild Robot trailer. This thankfully has not been leaked, but I'm really looking forward to it. I'm hoping that this is a surprise hit for DreamWorks. DreamWorks is pretty hit and miss. They did have a really good movie with the Puss in Boots film that came out last year, or was it 2 years ago? But then I saw that Ruby Gillman movie, and that was just awful. So, DreamWorks is hit and miss, but I think the trailer looks really promising. I like the animation style. It does look like the Iron Giant, but maybe a more modern version. And we heard the giant, we heard the robot speak, I think, for the first time in this trailer. And the robot has a female voice, so and they use mother in regards to the robot. So I think this is supposed to be a female robot compared to the Iron Giant, which was like a male robot. So that's at least one difference, even though I do think the design just looks so uncanny like the Iron Giant. Like, they've got to be taking inspiration from that movie. But anyway, I think it looks really good. I like the story of it. I like that it's a robot lost in the wilderness and he's just trying to find his way, and he meets all these like animals and stuff. I'm really looking forward to this. Is anyone else looking forward to the Wild Robot? Josh says, I think both the Wild Robot and Transformers 1 could both be solid hits in September. Let's hope so. Let's hope so. I don't know about Transformers just because I feel like that franchise is a bit spent. The last franchise movie that came out that was live action didn't do that well. So I don't know if people are going to be interested in animated Transformers, but who knows? I'm just not the target audience for that. But yeah, I do hope that Wild Robot could be at least a solid, decent hit. Negrette says, this I'm definitely going to watch. I've actually been reading the books to catch up with the movie. Oh, well, good for you. I hope you're enjoying the books. Ellie says you haven't heard about this, but it looks pretty cool, so I'm glad you guys are interested in it at least. Margot has mixed feelings. Okay, but it seems like most of you are looking forward to this. That's why I'm thinking maybe this could be a surprise solid hit. So who knows? Let's see. We also got a new teaser for Wicked. Now, one of you, I think it was Alexander, you brought up the whole scandal, like for Ariana, and how this could impact the movie. I think you might be right. Because I'm not feeling the hype for this movie that I expected. I think this movie, A, came out too late. I think if this movie had come out like 10 years ago, I think this would have had a lot more interest and hype around it. I think, because like 10 years ago, 15 years ago even, there was a lot of hype and interest in a Wicked movie. I know because I was around theater types at the time and people were talking about, Wicked movie, hopefully. I mean, they've been actually teasing and promising a Wicked movie for quite some time. In fact, I would even say I think the first time I even heard a rumor about a Wicked movie was probably like 15 years ago at this point. So I think this movie came out too late. Wicked is still a very popular show on Broadway, but I do think that like Hamilton has taken some of its hype away. Like I said, Wicked was what Hamilton was before Hamilton blew up. Now, speaking of Hamilton, if they made a Hamilton movie right now, I think that would do very well. I think that would do very well. But I have a feeling they're probably going to wait too long on that too, and it's probably not going to do as well by then, but who knows. I do think that this trailer is a good trailer. I do think that they're still weirdly hiding that it's a musical. Like, I think it's very strange that in none of the trailers so far we have not seen like a single musical piece. No dancing, no shot of anyone even singing. I mean, I understand musicals are not like super popular right now, but Wicked is literally known for its music. Like, people know that it's a musical, or they should know it's a musical. So, I don't understand why they keep hiding that, especially when the songs are so good. Again, the songs are iconic. Even if you have never heard or seen Wicked, you probably have heard someone knock off Popular or Defying Gravity at some point. Heck, Let It Go interpolates part of Defying Gravity from Wicked. So even if you've never heard of Defying Gravity, you've heard at least some of the notes from the bridge because it's in Let It Go. So Wicked is known for its popularity. I mean, known for its music. So I'm very, very confused why they keep hiding that. But I'm still really looking forward to it. I do like that they built a lot of real sets. I think the imagery is beautiful. I think it looks gorgeous. But I am wondering if maybe the movie is just coming out too late. I think maybe the Ariana scandal has soured some people on this, maybe. I don't know. But I just hope it does well. I really hope it does well. But what do you guys think? Are you still interested in Wicked? Why don't you think that more people are talking about it? Natanya, you learned about Wicked because of Glee? Yeah, Glee was even covering Wicked songs. Like, that's how mainstream it was back in the day. Amy says, I saw Wicked live, and I don't think I'm that interested in the movie considering all the other musical movies. Well, I'm hoping that they do the Broadway show justice. I've seen it twice. I've seen it once on Broadway and once on West End. And the show is really, really good. I really hope that they do the show justice. Negrette says, I don't think it'll appeal to younger audiences. That might be true, but I think millennials should at least show up. Maybe. Du Bois says, oh yeah, I forgot Defying Gravity was from Wicked. My friends sing it all the time. Yeah, see, Defying Gravity, it's one of those songs that I think became so popular that it kind of went beyond the show. It's like, people know it's a musical. Yes, and it's a part 1 and a part 2, which is another thing that I'm nervous about. Because they're not advertising this as a part 1 at all. And what happens if this flops? They still have a whole second part to release. I'm really nervous about this movie. I'm really starting to get nervous about this movie a lot. I don't know. Josh says, yes, Universal is splitting Wicked into 2 movies. Yes, we just said. Nagisa says, the only 2 movies I'm looking forward to for the rest of the year are Wild Robot and Sonic 3. I think Sonic 3 will do well. Sonic movies have been very consistent. HP says, I think a lot of people have been wanting access to pro shots instead of these Hollywood movie musicals that often don't seem to understand their source. What do you mean pro shots? I don't know what you mean by that, HP, sorry. But anyway, I'm still looking forward to it. I think it does look good. I think, honestly, if I had one complaint, is that it's a bit too glossy at times. Like, this just... Even though they have a lot of real sets and real location that they filmed on, some of these shots are just so glossy and, I think, overly done, that it makes it look fake, which I think kind of goes against the whole point of building all these sets for real. But that's just a minor complaint. I still think it looks really good overall. But anyway, moving on. So, House of the Dragon! House of the Dragon Season 2 just ended on Sunday. They did confirm that it's only going to have 4 seasons and that they're going to start production on season 3 next year. I'm bringing this up because there's been a lot of backlash over this season not being as good as the first season, and I have to say, I agree. I loved the first season. You guys know because I was talking about House of the Dragon a lot. Like, I loved the first season so much that it became my favorite show airing on television. Like, that's how much I loved the first season. This season was a huge step down for me. Like, a huge disappointment. And I'm going to tell you a few reasons why. I know not everyone watches this show, so just bear with me. Just be for a few minutes and then we'll move on to some other stuff. But I just wanted to give my quick thoughts on season 2 because I want to explain why I was disappointed with it. So firstly, not enough happened. Not enough happened at all. I feel like the only time something actually happened was in 2 episodes, and it was the 2 episodes everyone agreed were really good. And I'm not just talking about action. I'm not saying that every episode has to have action. But I do think that if you're going to have a lot of talking and a lot of conversations, like every episode, those conversations need to lead somewhere. Honestly, I don't think the writing was even that strong to justify how much talking there was this season. Because I felt very much like the characters were just talking themselves into circles. Like, every episode, I felt like they were having the same conversations again. Especially with Damon. I don't understand why Damon, the whole season, was just in Harrenhal going through a spooky ghost hunt. And, like, that was just every freaking episode. And I was like, why are we still on this? And on top of that, Damon was still dealing with the same conflict that he was dealing with in season 1. It was the whole, like, do you really want the crown or not? And it's like, I thought we already addressed this in the first season. Why is he still struggling with this in 8 episodes in the second season? I was so over it. I was like, Damon, do you want the crown or not? At this point, I don't care anymore. Like, I was just, they really drew that out for way too long for me. Also, Rhaenyra. I'm gonna say it. I was really going to give Emma Darcy a shot because I thought maybe, you know, the last season was just set up, so I thought maybe this season we'd really get to see, you know, Emma Darcy shine. But no, I really think that, what's her name? The younger version of Rhaenyra, the one here, that's going to be Supergirl. I really liked her version of Rhaenyra far more. Like, far more. I felt like the show opened in season 1 with the promise that Rhaenyra was going to be like this very feisty sort of Daenerys type. And then when they aged her up to the Emma Darcy's version of the character, all that feistiness was gone. She just became like a very whiny, very mopey, kind of sad person, like, all the time. Like, she would just cry and be pregnant. And that's all she did for, like, the second half of season 1. But again, I was like, okay, it's fine, you know, they're just setting up. And then they ended season 1 with that look after she found out her son had died. And the season ended with that look of like, oh, I'm gonna get them. And I was like, oh, so this is when feisty Rhaenyra returns, and then we're gonna get the real Rhaenyra in season 2. No! Rhaenyra was still so indecisive. She never knew what she wanted. The council didn't even respect her. Her own son doesn't respect her. And she's so like, oh, I'm just trying to keep the peace. I just want peace. But like, she's making obviously bad decisions. And it's so frustrating to watch. I'm just like, I thought this character was gonna do things. And so far, it's been 2 seasons, and the most badass, interesting thing she's done was when she was younger, when she was, what's her name? Please, can someone remind me of what the younger actress name is? Do you guys remember season 1, when she flew on the back of her dragon to go meet Daemon on that bridge? Do you remember that scene? That was still, in 2 seasons, the most badass thing Rhaenyra has done. She has not done anything nearly as interesting or badass since. And that was early season 1. I've been very disappointed with this character overall. Just saying. Does anyone else agree with me? I know not everyone watches this show. I'm really going off on it. But do you guys agree with me at all? Do you disagree with me? What do you think? Negrette says, I'm not a fan of the show and never watched, but heard that season 2 went downhill. Yeah, it's not just me. A lot of people have been saying season 2 is not as good. Millie Alcock, thank you. Yes, Millie Alcock. I'm actually really excited to see Millie as Supergirl. Just because I thought she was the standout of season 1. And honestly, I don't think there's anyone that's a standout of season 2. HP says, I wonder if in some ways they got a little hampered by the source material. I actually think this could have been better if they broke free from it a bit more. I think what they're doing is they're trying to stretch out not enough material across 4 seasons because they want multiple seasons, when I don't think there's enough story for that. To me, the reason why season 2 was not as good was because I felt like they were stretching out a story that didn't need to be stretched out over 8 episodes. Like, I feel like they could have told the same story in half as much time. Like, they could have told and done everything that they did in the season in like 4 episodes instead of 8. You know what I mean? And I think they stretched it out to 8 episodes because they're trying to get multiple seasons out of this. And I don't think it's working out for the show. Du Bois says, shame it's going downhill given how far its predecessor spiraled downhill. Yeah, I mean, it's not as bad as season 8 of Game of Thrones yet. It's not there. But it's just a disappointment, that's all. Young Oscar Tully was a season 2 standout for you. He was okay. You know who was a standout for me this season? Aegon. And I didn't even care about him in the first season, but I actually kind of liked Aegon this season. I wish we got to see more of him. Anyway, I'm going to move on because I know not everyone watches this show, but I just wanted to give my 2 thoughts on this show, and I'm still going to be there for season 3, but I really do hope they pick up the pace and they don't just keep the characters writing in circles, or talking in circles, I should say. And I hope Rhaenyra actually does something and doesn't just mope and complain and have no one respect her, because that's all I felt she did this season. I was really disappointed in Rhaenyra, like a lot. But anyway, let's move on. So speaking of Game of Thrones, there's going to be another spin-off series called The Night of the Seven Kingdoms. It's going to premiere next year. I think HBO is trying to do this thing where they have a new Game of Thrones show every year. So next year they're going to start filming the next season of House of the Dragon, so we won't get another season of that show, but we will get the first season of this other Game of Thrones show. Now, I'm a little nervous because I don't know if they're going to dilute the Game of Thrones brand with all of these spin-off shows. I really hope it's good. If it's not, I think that could hurt the overall brand, especially as people are already turning against House of the Dragon. I really don't want the quality to go down just because they're trying to pump out too many spin-off shows. I'm really nervous about that. I'm still going to watch it. I'm going to try it. But I'm nervous about it. Are you guys excited for this? I see Negrette's already tired of this. Margot's tired of this. Mythical Phoenix Heart says, oh, you think this is going to be a problem? Yeah, I'm a little worried that this is going to be a problem too. Jordan says, what happened to long seasons nowadays? I miss long seasons, man. Now everything's like 8 episodes, and I hate it. I remember when we used to get like 22 episodes a season? Remember that? Those were the days. I'm not seeing a lot of positive hype for this. That's not good. Rhea Rue's also nervous. Okay. Du Bois says, oh god, a new show every year? Can't say much for films and TV, but from what I've seen in video games that release every year, that's a recipe for disaster. Yeah, I mean, I hope they're not marveling Game of Thrones, where they're just trying to do too much. I really hope they're not trying to marvel Game of Thrones, because that would be, I think, that would really cheapen the brand of Game of Thrones. But I'm still gonna watch it, but I'm nervous. I'm nervous, not gonna lie, I'm nervous. Cheetah Viper says, you want to see Arya exploring a new continent? You know, if they did want to continue on from Game of Thrones, I'd want to see that Jon Snow show they were thinking about. I think that could have been interesting. Unfortunately, I kind of disagree with you, Cheetah. I don't want to see an Arya show. That season of Game of Thrones where we kept going back to Arya trying to learn the arts of the no face thing. Oh my god, I hated that. I did not care about that storyline at all, and it took up so much screen time. I'm sorry. I don't want the Arya show, but I would watch a Jon Snow show. I would watch a Jon Snow show. Oh, or maybe a Dothraki show if they brought back Jason Momoa, like they did like a prequel or something. Maybe. I'd watch that too. But anyway, now we're just getting into the weeds of Game of Thrones. So one of you did mention this earlier in the show. Robert Pattinson and Zendaya are in talks to star in a new romance for A24 with Christopher Borgley set to direct. Now I think this is really smart for both of them. I was waiting to hear like what Zendaya was going to do next after Challengers, because there wasn't really anything else on her schedule other than Spider-Man and the next Dune movie. So I was like, there's got to be something else there. So it seems like maybe she was just waiting for the right movie, and I'm glad that she did, because I do think this is the right movie for her. Also, I like that Robert Pattinson's still doing these smaller A24 movies. I actually think he's better in smaller, quirkier films than he is in the big franchise stuff. I know maybe that might be a hot take there, but let's just say I think he was much better in Good Times than in the Batman. But that I know I'm in the minority on that one. But anyway, I do like them together. I think I can already see them having chemistry. So I do like the pair of them together. I think that's really exciting. I do think their star power together would probably propel this to being at least a moderate hit. So for A24, I think this could actually be a hit for them. What do you guys think about this? Are you excited for this? What do you think? Francisco says Puss in Boots came out in 2022. Yes, I did think it was 2 years ago. Yeah. Du Bois says, dude, we always joke about Awkwafina having the best agent ever, but dude, look at how much Zendaya's doing. Zendaya does have a good casting agent, but I also think that Hollywood just really wants to give her a lot of roles, which I'm not upset about, because I like Zendaya a lot. And I do think she's good at picking roles for herself. I don't know why she chose a tennis movie to be her first real challenge as a box office draw, because tennis movies are never that popular. I would say that was maybe the one missed decision that I don't think that was a smart decision to go with. But overall, I think Zendaya is usually pretty business smart. So yeah, I'm happy for her. I like Zendaya. Oh, Negrete, you're not sure how you feel about this. Oh. Calvin says, are we done with Euphoria? I told you guys, I don't think Euphoria is coming back. There's so much drama behind the scenes. Zendaya doesn't even get along with the writer anymore. There's a rumor that Zendaya and Sydney Sweeney don't like each other, and Sydney Sweeney wants more money than Zendaya, which is not going to happen. So I don't see the show coming back, unfortunately. If they do come back, I'll be surprised at this point. Ruru says he seems old for her. I think he's about 10 years older, which for Hollywood is pretty standard for the course. I mean, the age gap in Me Before You was pretty big, but, that's just Hollywood for you. Not Me Before You, sorry. Completely different movie. Completely different movie that I actually love. Not Me Before You. I meant the Anyone But You. Anyone But You, yes. Getting my movies mixed up. Rhea Lynn says they need to officially cancel Euphoria. Yeah, I agree. How are you guys feeling about this, though? Are you guys actually going to see this movie? Are you interested in all? Seems like not many of you are actually that curious about this film. Also, speaking of team-ups, we have Glenn Powell and Jenna Ortega in the final talks to star in a J.J. Abrams movie. I don't like J.J. Abrams, but, I think Jenna Ortega and Glenn Powell are obviously really popular right now. So I think this movie could do well just based off of star power alone. Are you guys interested in seeing this team up? I'm curious. Between the two, who are you more excited to see together? Jenna Ortega and Glenn Powell, or Robert Pattinson and Zendaya? Who do you think will draw a bigger audience? Who do you think will just get people more excited? Or which one are you personally more excited for? Very, very curious. Okay, Ellie loves Jenna. Okay. Jordan Davis says, and Miller's Girl had an age gap, speaking of Jenna. Yeah, but the point of that whole movie was the age gap. Okay, Brooklyn's more excited for Jenna and Glenn. Okay, well they are, I guess, newer, like, movie stars. Cheetah Viper's not excited for either. Okay. Du Bois says, I hate to bring this up, but what has Abrams done since the Star Wars sequels? Nothing. I don't think I've heard his name since then. Also, my vote's on Jenna and Glenn. Oh, interesting. Okay, HP is more interested in Zendaya and Pattinson. Same with Ellie. Anise says, you're interested in Glenn Powell, but not J.J. Abrams. Totally get that. I think I'd be more excited for this movie if J.J. Abrams was not the director. Mythical Phoenix Heart says, which film has Glenn Powell starred in? So, he was just in Twisters. He was in Anyone But You, and he was in the Top Gun movie. The last Top Gun movie. That's actually the movie that kind of, like, got his career, like, started, really. Most of you are saying Jenna and Glenn. I'm actually surprised by that. Really surprised by that. Is it just because Glenn Powell is hot? I don't think this photo is making it fair, because I think some of you guys are just looking at this photo and going, Glenn Powell? Maybe I should go back to this. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'm equally excited for both. I don't like J.J. Abrams, so I'm a little nervous about that. Alright, interesting. It seems like most of you are actually excited for Jenna and Glenn. That's funny. Poll. You know what? I haven't done a poll in a while. Let's do a poll. Let's do a poll. Okay. Who are you most interested in? So I'm gonna say Jenna and Glenn, and then Zendaya and Rob. Ooh. I also think maybe this could be like almost a generational difference. Like, I can see maybe Glenn and Jenna appealing to a younger audience more than Zendaya and Rob would probably appeal to millennials, whereas I think the other movie would probably appeal more to Gen Z. I can see that being a thing, because I think, I think Zendaya and Rob are probably more famous amongst millennials. So far, it's almost pretty even. Like, you guys are pretty split on this one, so that's interesting. Brooklyn, do you think Glenn Powell is hot? Yes, I do. Okay, Mythical Phoenix also agrees. Okay. Kat, why do you guys want to know if I think Glenn is hot? He obviously is. Morbid and Sarcastic says, is J.J. Abrams the one with all the solar lens flares? I love how much that's what he's known for. Yes, he's the one for all the lens flares. I know I forgot Glenn was in Scream Queens too. It's very interesting. So you guys are very split on this. Like, super, super split on this. Very interesting. So far, it's like 48% Jenna and Glenn. Well, not 46%. And then 54% Zendaya and Rob. So only slightly more than half of you prefer Zendaya and Rob. Interesting. Maybe both will do well. Maybe both will do well. Who knows? Ending the poll. Thank you for participating. Oh yeah, he was also in Hitman. Thank you, Brooklyn. Moving on. So, like I said, D23 begins tomorrow, and on Sunday we're going to go over all the announcements they made during the convention. And it's not just going to be for Marvel, it's for all of Disney. So we're going to find out stuff on Pixar, we're going to find out stuff from Star Wars, we're going to find out stuff from Disney Live Action and Disney Animation. So make sure you guys are there. I'm going to have the show 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday. We're going to go over all the things that people are going over, all the things that they went over this weekend. And now let's talk about some of the things that they might go over. Firstly, I think they're going to talk about this because this was a random thing that popped up in IndieWire. This is actually something they announced a while ago that apparently they're still doing. So do you guys remember the prince from the live-action Aladdin movie? The one that was trying to impress Jasmine before she chose Aladdin? They're still planning on making a spin-off film. Not a spin-off film, a spin-off series on Disney Plus about this guy. And I think that is the dumbest thing ever. Like, why don't you... This is as like, weird to me as, like, if they had made a spin-off film on, like, the merchant that Aladdin stole from, you know? Like, who cares? Like, do you guys even remember this character? Do you guys remember this at all? Like, what? Why is this guy getting his own show, but we're not getting an Aladdin 2 with the original cast? Like, if you want to continue with the Aladdin because Aladdin was successful, just make an Aladdin 2. What's with the spin-off of a random character that had like 2 minutes of screen time? This makes no sense to me. This makes less sense to me than Mufasa. At least it's not going to theaters. So this is probably something that they're going to talk about as well, since they randomly brought it up in IndieWire. Prepare to hear more about that. We're probably going to hear more about the Star Wars movies. Remember, we have 2 Star Wars movies that are coming out soon. The Mandalorian and Grogu, which is a continuation of the Mandalorian show. And then we also have, of course, the Rey movie. So I'm expecting to hear more about those movies from Lucasfilm. Maybe we'll get some first looks, some information about the story, maybe some more like talent that's been hired. I'm hoping we hear more about the Star Wars films. They're supposed to be filming soon, right? I mean, these movies are coming out in 2026, so they would have to film relatively soon. So I'm hoping we do get to hear more about these movies. I'm expecting to hear about that. Also, there's a lot of live-action shows, not live-action shows, but live-action movies that are on the horizon as well that we're probably going to hear about. Like, I'm sure they're going to share more stuff from Snow White, maybe a trailer, I don't know. We're going to hear more about Jungle Book 2. I didn't even realize there was going to be a Jungle Book 2, but there is. Apparently a live-action Tinkerbell. Prince Charming, Sword in the Stone. I think some of these are just rumored, but maybe they're going to actually announce them, because apparently there's going to be a live-action feature film for Prince Charming, but I think that's just rumored. So maybe some of these rumors might be confirmed. I'm not sure. I do know the Tower of Terror movie is the one that Scarlett Johansson was attached to, so that has already been confirmed. So we're probably going to hear more about the Tower of Terror movie. I hope they make a Hunchback of Notre Dame movie. I love Hunchback. That is one of my favorite Disney movies. If they make a live-action version of that, I'll be very impressed. I have no idea how they're going to get away with that in 2024, but I still want to see it. I think we might hear more about the Bambi movie. The freaking Bambi movie! Stupid Bambi movie. I can't believe they're actually doing this. But yeah, maybe we'll hear more about the Bambi movie. Are they going to announce Aladdin 2? I don't think they actually haven't announced an Aladdin 2. I think some of these movies are actually just rumored. But yeah, maybe they'll announce it. I don't know. And then maybe we'll hear more about Mufasa. We'll probably definitely get some more stuff about Lilo and Stitch, the live-action movie. That's been confirmed. I hope we get some more stuff about Cruella too, because I loved the first Cruella movie. I loved that movie a lot. So I hope we get to see maybe Emma Stone shows up. I don't know. But yeah, any of these movies that you're hoping they talk more about or they share more information on, what are you guys looking forward to hear from? What are you guys hoping to hear Disney talk about this weekend? What are your expectations? Riaru says, I forgot about the Bambi movie. What is going on at Disney? They did make fun of the Bambi movie in that South Park special. Negrette says, I've lost a lot of hype for Disney now. Yeah, I think you're not alone, unfortunately. I think some of these movies could do very well, to be fair. Like, I think maybe Tower of Terror, if it's really good, could do well. I think Hunchback, if it's really, really good, could do well. If that's even a movie that's going to be a thing. I'm still not convinced that's actually going to happen. I think that's just a rumor. Because, can you imagine Hunchback in today's climate? I mean, they barely got away with it in the 90s. I don't know how they're going to get away with it now. That Super says Billy Magnuson, who plays Prince Anders, is also in Lilo and Stitch. Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. Mythical Phoenix Heart says, why are they still making live-action movies? I don't want them. Well, they're making live-action movies because they do really well. Or most of the time they do really well. They're not going to stop making them until, like, they all just start flopping. Oh, you don't want a Prince movie, Margot? I actually think a Prince Charming movie could be really interesting. If they made a Prince Charming movie where he had, like, the personality of Prince Charming from Shrek, where we just thought he was, like, the best thing ever, and then maybe he has to be, like, humbled along the way or something, I would be really there for that. I would actually be really excited for a Prince Charming movie if that's what they did with it. Du Bois says, hold up, why is Aristocrats on that list? Are they making a realistic CGI film of that? I saw that too. I don't know why Aristocrats is on the list. I really hope they're not doing a live-action Aristocrats, because that's just not a movie that needs that, like, at all. I do not want to see CGI abominations for the entire movie. HB says, I just want live-action Atlantis, possibly directed by James Cameron. You are speaking my language, HP. You guys know. You guys been know. I've been said. The only Disney movie that I would actually want a live-action adaptation for, that I would be excited for, is Atlantis. Because I think it very easily lends itself to a live-action format. Imagine Tim Holland as Milo. I mean, it writes itself. You already have a Milo, now you just have to find a Kida. Which, ironically, I think Zendaya would actually make a really good Kida, but they're not going to hire them again together, I don't think. But anyway, yes. James Cameron directing an Atlantis movie would make me personally die. Like, I would just die of happiness. I would feel like Disney was making that movie specifically for me. Calvin says expectations would be clarification on if RDJ is Doctor Doom. Yes, we'll probably get more information on Marvel and like what they're doing with Doctor Doom. Maybe they'll reveal some of their TV projects, because they didn't really talk about TV at all at Comic-Con. So maybe they'll talk about some of the TV stuff. Marvel will bring a lot too, but I think they probably brought out their big guns at Comic-Con, so that's why I'm not really focusing on Marvel right now. I think the big stuff will actually come from the other studios. Okay, Mythical Phoenix Heart wants Black Cauldron or Treasure Planet. Yeah, I can see that. Du Bois says, and with someone like James Cameron, with how obsessed he is with the ocean, that would make a killer combination. You're speaking my language, guys. It's like you guys really understand my movie taste, because a James Cameron directed live action Atlantis is like, I would die for that. But anyway, so that's some of the stuff I think they're going to talk about this weekend. I hope they reveal a lot. I think we're probably going to have a lot to talk about on Sunday, so I'm very excited about it. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, because I'm going to be like live updating and tweeting about a lot of the stuff that they reveal. So if you want to know my thoughts ahead of time, make sure you're following me on Twitter. But yeah, very, very excited for this weekend. Anyway, that was the last thing that I wanted to talk about for you guys, or for today. Thank you all for showing up. I think this is the most people I've had watch live since I came back, so I'm glad that more people are showing up live again. I'm really happy about that. Really, really love you guys a lot for just showing up and always supporting the channel and all the super chats and being engaged. You guys are really, really sweet. I love this community that we've built up here. Really, I genuinely appreciate it, genuinely. So again, I'll see you guys on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk about all the stuff that they announced this weekend. I look forward to talking to you guys on Sunday.